Greetings, friends, wherever you are on this orb floating on the outer fringes of the Milky Way, or so we're told by populist academia. Of course, we could be completely wrong about all of that. I'm not sure that any of us actually know what the shape of this plane of existence is. But I can tell you that today, Tuesday, the 26th of March, as far as this human is concerned, is a very important dateline zero, as I would refer to it. And the reason why it's in my intimation and in my blood song, in my deepest instinct, is the only thing I listen to in this world. Being a middle-aged man who's been battered a little in life and in love, I arrived at that point where I learned to withdraw my attention from, put it this way, Confucius said it is signs and symbols that govern this world and not rules and laws. And he's absolutely right. We're set about in a world of iconoclastic false light worship, idolatry, if you will. That's always been the way in the realm of duality. We are in the realm of duality. This entire quadrant of the omniverse describes duality, the checkerboard of the kingdom of the devil, so to speak, the cauldron of creation. And each one of us navigated our soul, steered our soul plasma into this vector of so-called time space. Each of us here gathered, placing attention on the screen whilst a hippie wheezes, are all projecting plasma, life force through the pineal, our God-given life force, the kundalini, through our eyeballs and the magic of the human biology. The photons are engaging through the fractal Z equals Z square plus C Mandelbrottian myriad of impossible genius that goes into computer screens and into telegraphy. And somehow, through the umbilical of the devil, we connect our attention into this moment in time, this sweet spot, the now, the perennial now. The geometry of now is always perfect in all ways. It presents to each of us the perfect beneficence, the perfect opportunity to become all that we can be, all that we should be, all that we must be. And I've seen in the last few days some antipathy toward this idea that the upcoming April the 8th, 2024 total eclipse of the sun is a nothing burger, that folks like me are using this as clickbait. Well, there's two responses to that. There's the ground floor gutter response, the street response, which is fuck you. And there is the more pacific response, which is don't judge or condemn anything. And don't piss on the parade of anyone, ever. And if you do, you are the one conducting wrong action, whoever you are. The point is this. I've maintained that the geometry of now is always the exit from the matrix, which apparently we all seek. The geometry of now is also the only hyperdimensional conduit to source, to the ineffable, to the immanent, to the alpha omega, to our genesis and regenesis. So let's choose these totems and these datelines, and let's place our attention where we want to be placing our attention. Let's start to do as the Aboriginal peoples have been beckoning and urging us toward for millennia, which is to begin to dream wisely. We have taken a 12, 13,000 year galactic sleep. We drank the cup of forgetfulness, as the ancient Greeks would have it, each of us, and we were lost to ourselves. There is a point at which we are invited through the benediction or the rapture or the grace of God to rekindle that flame of knowing and remembrance. And the great movement of the spheres is where that totemism is written large in the sky. So we're invited to take these totems seriously. We'll go into the science momentarily about why this 8th of April 2024 is the seminal dateline 0. We'll go into the hyperdimensional physics, and we'll go into prophecy as well. And I'll tell you right now, we've got a very big audience gathering, and I'll tell you, we have no preparation for this broadcast. There's no fancy notes and bullet points and discussion points. This is a free-fall conversation because that's the way I want to do it. Parachute in and use the instinct and feel the pulse of this conversation and invite you all into it. And I'm just blessed, very blessed that I have access to remarkable souls in this world. And I'm very, very happy to be bringing this assembly of indigenous leaders, elders, thought leaders, and visionaries in to this catalyzing event today, which hopefully will help to aggregate a spark that will move toward dateline 0 of the total eclipse of the sun on the 8th of April and the 40 days of atonement and of repentance that must assuredly follow that totality of the eclipse. 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds, I believe it is, and Dr. Alex Ling who's on the panel will qualify that point. But that is the benediction. That is where the grace of God, the benediction, the resurrection of the eternal mother, the upshift of Gaia consciousness, the resurrection of the angelic template begins, provided you and I are enjoined as the fellowship at that moment in time, as that hyperdimensional conduit to the outer sun is severed for the first time in totality, in this sense, for many thousands of years. And we'll go into why I'm saying that. But that hyperdimensional conduit is activated whilst internally we're required to move into the immanent flame, into the central sun, the inner sun. And if we do that, friends, sufficiently, that is where morphogenesis or the morphogenetic upshift is offered to us. It is where we place our attention. Consciousness in action takes over from mere consciousness. The resurrection of the angelic template is assured. The meek inherit the earth. There is going to be a shit show. The NSA, the Pentagon, the CIA, the Vatican basement, the hegemony of the satanic, Sabbatean, Luciferic echelon and invisible masters have prepared their witchery and their bedevilment. You could be sure of that. You could set your atomic clock by that. These events, astronomical and astrological events, are used for mass black swan events or ritual sacrificial events in the basement, where you and I come together as the fellowship of man, which includes woman, incidentally. I'm not going to get into that right now, but where we enjoin the fellowship of man in the truest sense, which is the only currency, incidentally, that has any true value. We are the ones who will determine the outcome. Please bear in mind that in the coming days, the so-called reset is being planned. The collapse of the grid is quite probable. I have that from very significant sources inside the military-industrial complex. I am not fear-mongering. This is not fear porn. This is simply tapping into the collapse of the Babylonian edifice, the fall of the patriarchy, so to speak. And it does herald the resurrection of the eternal mother. And to that end, I'm about to introduce this extraordinary panel that I've assembled with my producer, Christy, and with the help of my beloved friend, Sky. I'm going to bring in first, in honor of the eternal mother, my beloved Jane Evershed, a fellow of the New Earth University and one of the greatest minds and hearts that I know. Jane, 2 minutes, 3 minutes max on your reflections where we stand. I know you're going to be on an aeroplane during the total eclipse of the sun, and I will be holding you in my prayers.
Thank you, Sacha. Well, my feeling is that this eclipse represents a clean slate for humanity to move forward with their agenda. I think we lost you. Oh, that's just a picture. Sorry. And this is part of the shift that we're going through. And it also really, really will be encompassing bringing the mother back in, as you say. And I speak for the average person in the street that is not an astronomer or a philosopher or anything like that. And I think it's our opportunity for humanity to take that momentous 4 minutes and 21 seconds and envisage the earth that they would like to see, what they envisage for our future as humanity, because we far outnumber these funny little men with all their little spells trying to create mayhem.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed for that. I'm going to pop you momentarily back into the green room. Thank you, darling, for that. Next up, friends, I just want to do a great honor for me, which is to introduce one of the most remarkable men on the surface of this plane of existence. I've had the distinct honor of being in his presence in the course of the last week in Palenque, in Mexico, in the jungles, where he acted as the catalyzing force in bringing to bear the long heralded Eagle and Condor Prophecy. The man who, in that sense, is anchoring the center ground of the coming together of all of the First Nations of the Americas, which cannot be more significant when you consider that cosmogenetically speaking and psycho-civilizationally speaking, the Americas are the center ground of the world. North America in particular, being the center ground for the last couple of centuries of the global social ecology and social economy, means that it is the greatest compression point of genetics, of culture, of economics, of might, of the tapestry and the spectrum of the human being is compressed the most in America. So when the eagle in North America attends to the prophecy, puts out the call to the condor of the Southern American nations, First Nations, and the quetzal and the hummingbird and the other totems, and calls them into Congress, into powwow. And that happened last week in Palenque. That heralds the coming together of the rainbow tribe. And that, my friends, heralds the onset of the resurrection of the Adamite, the angelic human. I'd like to introduce to this audience the Hereditary Chief Phil Lane, Jr. Chief, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey there, brother. Can you hear me?
Perfectly well.
Well, you know, I'm so pleased that you and Brother Sky and his beloved wife, Dr. Sky and his beloved wife, and all of you joined us there in Palenque. Very important for our human family to understand that prior to the coming of other relatives here from Europe to the Americas, we were around 100 to 108 million indigenous people living here in relative peace and harmony compared to the rest of the world. Our prophecies, which predate Columbus, and this was fully confirmed by gifts sent by the people of Tiwanaku through our good brother from Bolivia, Aymara brother, that verifies everything we're saying about coming to Bolivia in 1971 on March 31st, staying there through almost 2 years to learn the full dimension of this prophecy and then unite it with all the other prophecies. And so what this prophecy promised was after the condor and hummingbird, condor and eagle came together, after they came together, obviously there's no condors and eagles flying around Central America or the Amazon, which is the largest bioregion in the entire Americas. As we are remapping the entire Americas into bioregions, completely erasing all colonial borders so we can see this beautiful land. It was in its originality. Anyway, so last year through March 17th to the 22nd, we fulfilled that dimension. That is the hummingbird, which represents the Amazon, the Quetzal from Central America, all joined together. That represents about 80 million indigenous people. That was done after extensive connection to all the indigenous networks across the Americas and the development of a covenant, about 100 pages from our elders, principles of consultation, guiding principles, brand new electoral processes, many, many things. And this was also, we're so pleased that the veterans from veterans organizations all across the United States, in March 2021, we traveled to Houston, Texas, to Yosemite National Forest, where Special Forces veterans from the United States, across the United States, were coming together to do what they call a 4x4x48 run. That means every 4 hours, you run 4 hours, you run 4 miles. At the end, you have run 48 miles. And so we started dialoguing. I knew that, just like we said, that we have to start this peace movement beginning here in the Americas. How can we tell anybody, anywhere on Mother Earth, how to conduct themselves when we see what's going on right here in the Americas? And if you would have been here with us, we would have loved to have you with us, to have heard the injustice that was going on across the Americas, which we've known of. But the main things from us, through our brother Sacha, brother Michael Proper, and others, we are building a digital backbone, literally a digital backbone that will connect together the indigenous peoples of Mother Earth and all those who choose to join us in creating an alternative system to the one we have now. And we have some incredible people. Our brother Toshka Brock Pierce is involved, others involved, to build this. And we believe, without question, with full faith, this will be the first digital nation upon Mother Earth, along with the one that's emerging across the Pacific. All those nation states in the Pacific are emerging into a digital nation. Because collectively, the indigenous people of the Americas, we have the youngest population of all the peoples in the Americas, an average across the Americas of 19 years old. We have the fastest growing population of any population in the Americas. We have more natural resources that are being exploited from our lands, that once we come together in unity, not just for us, because fundamental is the understanding we are one human family, intimately related to all living things, and the hurt of one is the hurt of all. In the honor, healing, upliftment of one is the honor, uplifting, healing of all. So thank you, my dear brother, for all you've done for us. We so enjoyed being with you. And if anybody is interested, please communicate with Brother Sacha, and we'll be happy to bring you up to date on this movement, that there's no power on the face of this Mother Earth that's not going to stop what these prophecies have promised. No power. You can be as crooked as you want to, But the day has come.
Oh, aho, aho. Chief Phil Lane, thank you so very much indeed. Chief, could I ask you, please, after that introduction, and thank you for summarizing so beautifully, why this call to action, this clarion call, is so important, why prophecy is now meeting us in the perfect geometry of the living moment in this world at this time, and the rainbow tribe, the resurrection of the true human, the reclamation of sovereignty, of dignity, of autonomy, of our majesty, is all coming together, and everyone with a pulse feels that palpably. Would you kindly start us with a prayer before I bring in the panel?
Yes. O Tinkashla Wakantaka, Creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate one, ever forgiving one. O Ancient of Days, O blessed beauty, we call upon your holy power at this time. And all our ancestors who are closer than our closest vein to join us here with my beloved brother, Sacha, and all those relatives of our human family who are gathered here together at this time of long promised transformation. May we realize that the old, outworn, materialistic, colonial, papal bull influenced, and so many other deals, systems, which have also brought us many understandings, are collapsing. May we truly generate the resources needed to come together as a human family with our hearts and minds to create an alternative, beginning here in the Americas, right here, to provide an example for our human family to look to. Oh, Takash, we call upon all the tribes of the nation of the east, from where comes the red sunrise, to come together in unity and harmony. And all those tribes of the nation of the south to come together in unity and harmony. And the west, from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain, for those tribes and nations to come together in unity. And the north, from where comes the white snow, the purifying moisture, to purify our hearts and minds. We pray for all those relatives. And Father Sky, we ask forgiveness for the overabundance of masculine spiritual qualities that have brought us almost complete destruction, and that we humble ourselves completely and fully before our beloved Mother Earth and her representatives, womankind, and pray the abuse of women upon this Mother Earth might end. For the eagle, the condor, the quetzal, the hummingbird have two wings. One is man and one is woman, and both must have equal power and respect, and be able to manifest their unique and special gifts. Now, in respect the Christian Judaic lineage, Islam, I'm going to say this prayer for unity. Oh my God, unite thy servants and reveal unto them thy great purpose. May they follow in thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, lead them not themselves, but guide their names, guide their steps with the light of knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily art the help of the Lord. Whenever we finish speaking as a Dakota person, we always say, my names are Shunkmanu and Shinupasapa, and I stand fully responsible for all my words and my actions. And I'm so happy, brother, to be here with you. And I just look forward to hearing this wonderful panel you have.
Thank you so very much, Chief Phil Lane. And thank you for reminding us about the subjugation of women and of the subjugation of the spirit of the mother, the violation, desecration of the womb. And of course, that refers not just to women, but to the subconscious mind,
Yes.
which is the feminine element and aspect of the human. And we've subjugated that. We've surrendered and abnegated our majesty, our divinity, our sovereignty,
Yes.
our consciousness, and our conscience. And that changes today. Chief Phil Lane, I'd like to introduce you and the audience to Padma Khandro, and invite you, Padma Khandro, to kindly tell us who you are and give us your introductory comments.
Thanks very much, and thank you, Sacha, for this opportunity, and thank you to Phil Lane for your beautiful prayers and for everything that you do for the planet in the weaving of the vision of our ancestors up to the children, and really converging that harmonization energy that we need of the eagle, the condor, the quetzal, and the hummingbird. Palenque is a very dear place to me, and I'm so grateful to have seen some familiar faces on your photos. So just deep gratitude for all of that. So I don't want to say too much about me, but maybe I come as somebody who weaves different lineages, and I've spent a long time working with different tribes in Australia, in the Americas. I spend a lot of time in Mexico right now. I'm currently in Mallorca for a few days, and this year I'm residing in Glastonbury for a while. I'm Celtic background. I'm from Northern Ireland with Scottish lineage who lead through to the Knights Templar. But my real spine of the work now that really made sense for, I guess, what I'm here to do is having met my teacher, who is a Tibetan Lama, a Vajra master, Khandro Rinpoche, who is holding Kalachakra Tantra from the Jonang lineage, which Kalachakra means wheel of time. And this is a synthesis that is being held in a broken lineage straight through to Shambhala, which many did not know was preserved actually in East Tibet. And the Jonang tradition are currently actually seeking to be recognized in the Tibetan government in exile, because when the Dalai Lama left Tibet, the Jonang tradition did not leave with him. So this lineage holds keys of time, of the microcosm of our inner circuitry up to the celestial bodies. So this harmonization that we all need to undergo, which you're both talking about so beautifully, this unification of our innate masculine and feminine, and how we can also learn to clear karma, which is really the manifestation of time to us as a subjective being, to become free from that. And we really are this terminology of samsara, this looping existence, which some people would say this manifestation of being on a slave planet. So many of us here and listening tonight know we came to see in something different. And I just want to concur with what several of you said so far. I do want to make sure that I'm not sounding Hollywood-centric or Christocentric because I feel sometimes what we do is we pin on certain figurative singular dates, like people in 2012 that thought that the cash machines were going to explode on the 22nd of December. And I was in Palenque conducting ceremony there then. We have these markers in time. And the exciting thing is that I really concur with all of you that we do have some very significant astrological openings. I work with non-dual astrology, and I've recently been applying Kalachakra astrology, which just brings some deeper nuances. So from triangulation of Vedic astrology, Mayan astrology, dream spell astrology, which a lot of Mayans don't like, and then also looking at Kalachakra astrology, I really agree that we have got some keys. I think that what is important is how we act upon it and how we work with becoming more non-dual. And I'm happy to share a few little insights later about certain planets that may be our anchor points for cultivating in the coming time, because the job is not complete. It's how we use these portals. And but I was so excited when you invited me on, because I wasn't I wasn't so fully aware of the grand discussion of this great American eclipse. And I'm looking from different systems, and I can definitely tell you that there's something very sparkly and life-changing that is on our doorstep. And I might call it to open up our Shambhala warrior essence. But I agree with you. Gracias.
Beautifully stated. We're opening up the Shambhala warrior essence. I love that, because of course that is entirely so. The meek do inherit the earth, as I've been espousing for many long years. We all know that is thus. The meek inherit the earth, but the meek are those who are most bold of heart. Yes. Those who can and will enter the lion's den in the spirit of the true faith. Those who will walk in the shadow of the valley of death, fearing no evil. And that is what describes the true meek. Let me bring on Huna Flash, a man of tremendous renown, a representative of the Maori esoteric and spiritual traditions. I'll allow him to speak to his own lineage, and I will place a totem piece of geometry on the screen as he introduces himself at his request.
Greetings, sweet dear ones, sweet dearly beloveds. Wah is the language of the duck. Is it saying quack quack, or is it saying wah wah? Wah in the Lemurian language means love. Wah wah means much love. I'm honored to be here. So grateful to be with such esteemed elders. And in our tradition, the Maori tradition, we give recognition to the Pai Pai Tapu, which is the sacred seat of our elder, Phil Lane, Chief Phil Lane, who I'm honored to meet once again, who I actually met in the 80s in Lethbridge, Canada, Alberta.
Yes.
And my family members from the South Sea, the Tutuna Nation. Back then, Gordon Crowchild was alive, but now his son, Lee Crowchild, is now the chief of the Tutuna, who is my brother, who is partnered with my cousin, and they had a lot of children. So now we have Crow and Blackfeet and Tutuna Maori children. so talk about coming together. Excuse me. My education over the last 40 years has been broad and expansive and so incredible. I've had, to me, the most incredible education in the whole universe, I feel. I've spent time with Phil's people and the native communities across Honumotu, Turtle Island. I am born in New Zealand. I am Maori. And if you understand the meaning of Maori, you may know it as Mahdi in the Arabic. You may know it as Mari. You may know it as Maui. You may know it as Maohi. You may know it as Maoli, which simply means the children of innocence. The children of heaven is how I like to share it. And so, if we are the children, if Maori are the children of heaven, the children of the innocent, then I cannot be the only one. You also must be all Maori, yes?
Oh,
absolutely. We can go all the way back, all the way to before confusion. Let's go there. Let's go to the place before confusion. And one known location for that was 600 million years ago in first Lemuria, when New Zealand and Hawaii was a mountain. Let's go there. And we are still there in our journey going home. We are still in this place. We can return to before confusion. There is guidance here available today to initiate the remembering, what we refer to as the Wairua Tapu, the sacred, extreme sacred remembering. And in this understanding, we were all star nations of all omniverses and all nations of people as one in the living styles of the existence of the wataka, which means with nature, the systems of nature, versus a calendar. No such thing really as a calendar if you are willing to go there. And remembering, you will remember. Wataka means to operate within the boundaries of nature, and nature is all about life. Yes, all about life. The creation of life versus the destruction of life, which is in another matrix we have been enslaved by and have forgotten our connection to the Wataka. Well, this is available again. And so I see this and I share what I can here and speak to this moment of the eclipse from a variety of perspectives and a variety of actions that myself and my organization of the House of Huna have been, let's say, in action for these past number of years, certainly the recently getting in the modern times. I was born in New Zealand of the Maori people. My tribe is Ngati Ranginui, which means of the great heavens, and Ngati Kahununu, which also means the fish that got away. And so there's some humor, and there's some humor in our connections through these indigenous connections. And so from this lineage in my family line, in the navigator's lineage is where I stem from. Okay, and I was born in Tauranga, which is known as the Bay of Plenty in the North Island of New Zealand. I grew up on a mountain there, similar to the one in First Lemuria, which holds the same name, Mo'au, the mountain of the world. I come from the mountain of the world. Mm-hmm. And for more information is going to be shared. But it's very interesting as we come together this way to bridge the languaging and the technologies of ancient. Everything is ancient new. None of this is brand new, except for the return to the moment before confusion. Some of that can feel brand new as you remember again, yes? As you remember again, some of it can feel brand new. But it's what we have always been, if we can only remember. I myself, my organization, the work that we do is to activate the Lemurian stargates. We have the full map system of the 48 stargates on what is known as the Motu grid. We're sharing a geometry there that Brother Sacha was able to show you. That geometry that we're sharing is the latest geometry that will be this geometry here. As you see, enters Honu Motu. Honu Motu means Turtle Island in the Lemurian language, also Hawaiian, also Polynesian, also Maori, because that's what we are. We are in that side of the lineage. And it shows you entering the eclipse with this geometry. This geometry is based upon the 12 around 128 days per month, Ma'ita, and the 13th month of Ma'ita, the geometries to build, the birth signs to build this geometry. We'll share more about these things. Is this the pattern in the light, the energy in the light? And so as I just am being wishy-washy here with a bunch of stuff, I'm just going to conclude this little introduction here by just saying this.
Have we lost Huna? Are you still there, Chief Phil?
Yes, absolutely.
Fine. I would just. Oh, he's come back.
Here.
You drop. Huna, round off your introductory comments. I want to bring the rest of the panel in. Thank you.
Yep. So I would just like to end with, in the name of the vibration, in the name of the frequency, and in the name of the energy, we remember you. In the name of the land and the water and the sky, we remember you. In the name of all mothers, all fathers, and all children, we remember you. Tihei, Mauri o Ra, grateful for the breath of life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to bring in a very beloved brother, Hacco, Guama, Perico. We call him Hector. He was very much involved with the coming together of the Eagle and Condor Congress, and is a wisdom keeper in the Mexican tradition. Please introduce, forgive me, there we go. You just dropped out the green room momentarily. Hacco, nice to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to see you, everybody. Nice to see you, brothers. Chief Lane, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
Blessings to your souls and your spirits. Blessings to your paths and your ways. I feel honorable to be together with people who are in the same path. People we're fighting for the same situations of spirituality. I bless everybody from our tribes of Mexico. We are in Mexico City right now with indigenous communities of the Otomis, healing people through these type of technologies that we have behind me. And with the help of brother Sacha, we're trying to keep the world in the same path and the same way of healing, knowledge, ancestral, mount to mount, culture to culture, to sharing, not just in America, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Panama, all over around the world.
Brother, watch your hand is not on the microphone. You've gone muted slightly. Carry on.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Thank you very much. So we bless all you guys, all you brothers and sisters from Mexico. We are together here to keep healing, to keep being in the path of the sacred prophecy of the eagle and the condor. And of course, we're trying to be together with brother Sacha to teach the knowledge, to keep the culture, and to keep the situation of the indigenous communities in Mexico, and where we've been little bit of suffering and forgetting in Mexico. Thanks to Chief Lane Jr. to unify all the indigenous communities in Mexico with the prophecy of the condor, the eagle, the quetzal, the hummingbird, in where all the indigenous communities, we got the same rights to be listening and to be in the entrepreneur situations in where we can help different situations, started from the climatology situations and the traditional medicines in our lands. We represent more than 3,000 years of knowledge with the tribes in the desert. Now we are in the forest in Mexico, and we're trying to interchange this culture to other brothers. And now that we know that we have the same path, we got to keep the same mouth. We got to keep the same word that our elders give us to us. We are the extensions of the Great Spirit, and we have to take that opportunity as our own duty. I'm Hector Benton. I'm Hacco Guama Perico. I'm a guardian of ancestral uses. I'm your brother. I'm your father. I'm your son.
Thank you, brother. That's very beautiful. I'm going to introduce Dr. Alex Ling in a moment, and he's the remarkable physicist who also brings extraordinary knowledge and information into this broadcast today, which many people will be hearing for the first time. We are going to be joining with him at the Zone of Silence in Mexico, which is in a sense, it is the ground zero of the total eclipse of what will be happening. Brother Hector, you might be joining us. I know you're consulting the guardians and you're consulting the elders to see if you are able to participate with some of your ancient technology to help to activate the appropriate connections on that day. I very much hope that we'll be seeing you in the Zone of Silence, but we'll speak to you later in the day to see if we can coordinate that.
Ahatipi, will be a pleasure if we can coordinate with this one. Chief Lane has one of the skulls right now with him. If you want to show it, is there. And I'm here in the pyramid in our school. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be connected. Technology helps us to have our hearts connected, because we walk with a heart on the hang. And walking with a heart on the hang is walking barefoot. Ahatipi.
Very good. Bravo. Thank you so very much, Hector. Stand by. Okie doke. I want to bring in briefly, I want to quickly bring in Michael Kraus, Director of Social Media for Unify, one of the most conscious networks on the planet. I had the great pleasure of meeting with him yesterday and spending a bit of time with him and embracing him through the digital screen. but it was a delight to meet you. Michael, thank you so very much for joining us today. I'd love to have your reflections and comments on what you've heard and the importance of us as a humanity to designate datelines like the total eclipse coming up as a moment for where we can truly place our attention into a singularity.
Thank you, Sacha, and thank you to all of you. I'm deeply, deeply honored being here. And one of the pieces that you said is the geometry of the present moment. If we take that geometry of the present moment and we connect it with our point of singularity within our human ancestral evolution, and also take into consideration that the universe is infinite wide. And so if it's infinite in each direction, each and one of us are the center point of the universe. And in addition to that, each and one of us is standing above the center of the earth. If we start to recognize that power that we all have within each and one of us, and it requires all of us to come together and remember who we truly are and the power that we hold. And I believe that it is through our human bodies to connect divine consciousness with Mother Earth, through the power of our hearts, through the power of love. And I believe what is most necessary in this current day and age is the power of forgiveness. And my role within Unify is I'm the director of social media, so I get a little bit of the pulse of time when it comes to the digital world. And what I truly experience is that we've been divided and conquered. And not just that, but within that division is also a tremendous pain point. There's the trauma that is within each and one of our living souls. And that trauma, I believe, has to do with the divine feminine, the abuse, the violence, the pain, the trauma that we've inflicted, but also the balance between our divine masculine and the divine feminine within each and our bodies. And so what I believe right now is really important is to remember the knowledge, to remember that those who came before us all saw heaven on earth, a new age, a golden age, nirvana, whatever names they put towards it, we know it's going to come. And I believe that this right now, this lifetime, this moment is an opportunity for us to create the transformation and the liberation of humanity. And it requires all of us. It requires us to unify, and it requires us to act and to use our consciousness in action. And it's one thing is to talk about it. The other thing is, how do I apply it in my daily life through acts of kindness and compassion and in unity and collaboration and cooperation. And that's where it really comes down to. And I also believe that those specific periods in time that we're going through with the solar eclipse are moments in time where we need to need to recognize the light that is shining within us is also shining within all other brothers and sisters on this planet, because we were born innocent, and that innocence will never be taken away from us. So I'm deeply honored to be here. Thank you.
Bravo, Michael. Thank you so very much, brother. Can't wait to meet you in person. And thank you very much for joining us with those comments. Next up, friends, I am going to introduce two remarkable people who I met very recently, Eduardo and Yvonne, and they are an extraordinary couple. I can tell you that in simple terms, they represent a shamanic pulse. They are an oracle of the Mexican tradition. They travel where the guardians permit them to travel, and only when the guardians permit them to travel. They came down to Bacala Laguna, where they left their haven for the first time in 3 years. They were granted the permissions by the spirits to come and to inspect what it is that we're doing with this New Earth project, the sanctuary that we are beginning to build out here. And they spent a number of days consulting with the guardians of the earth, the guardians of the sky, the guardians of the jungle, and the guardians of the waters. And it was an extraordinary experience to witness them at work. I just hope that we can hear them sufficiently here. Can you hear me okay, Eduardo? I know Yvonne doesn't speak the English. Oh, I can see it's Ricardo speaking there. Not
Yeah.
I assumed that Eduardo was there, but I can see it's you, Ricardo. How are you doing, brother?
Very good, Sacha. Thank you so much. And yeah, we're very happy to be here. And I'm here with Yvonne and Eduardo. Well, he's coming in a few minutes to join us. But
well, I'm very happy and I'm delighted, Ricardo, that you are there, because it means you can translate beautifully. So please extend our greetings to Sister Yvonne. I'm very, very happy to have this remarkable oracle, this woman who lives mostly in the spirit world, consulting with the elemental spirits. She has such a tremendous reservoir of wisdom. Please extend our welcome to her.
Te mandan muchos saludos y que pues, el oráculo que implicas es una maravilla.
Estamos muy agradecidos por esta invitación, muchas gracias, emocionados también, emocionados por lo que va a ocurrir dentro de pocos días. Estaba escuchando lo que estaban comentando hace un momento y sí, es una conexión muy importante, tanto de cuerpo y alma, para poder estar al 100%.
She's very excited to be joining you guys, and also very excited about the event on the 8th of April. She knows that everything and the connection between body, soul, and mind, everything will expand. And as you said it, Sacha, Yvonne canalized a lot of entities and great spirits, and they told her, we were talking when we were coming here, that they are very, very, they need to be there. As you tell the audience, they haven't traveled since the pandemic, and the first travel was in Bacalara, and then this new other travel, because they love the journey that you have with all these communities, Sacha. So she's very grateful, Eduardo is very grateful, and all of us are very grateful with you.
Thank you very much indeed. And I can't wait to introduce you to Brother Hector. I'm not sure if he's here. I can't see him. He's somewhere in the jungle, but he's not on the screen at the moment. But he is the indigenous leader that I wanted to make the introductions, but I will do that possibly later in the day. Let me now bring forward the man of the hour, in a sense, Dr. Alex Ling, because it is Dr. Alex Ling who is the leading force in the expedition that we're going to be doing to the zone of silence in Mexico. And Dr. Ling is not only an erstwhile medical doctor and a physicist, scientist, he is also the carrier of, I need to choose my words carefully here. He is the carrier of arcane wisdom and a capacity to see through the veil, largely because of his blood song and his lineage. He is the son of the erstwhile Grand Master of the most powerful Freemasonic lodge in Germany. His father, he will explain this to us, pulled away from the Freemasons some years ago when he recognized that a compartmentalized element within Masonry were about to conduct a diabolical act connected to arcane or alien technologies, which were being auctioned and traded amongst the certain Masonic lodges around the world. If you wondered, friends, what happens when archaeologists find a stargate or a time gate or a jump gate or a portal or alien technology or some arcane out of place artifact that nobody can understand because it's a technology and it predates the dinosaurs. That stuff is happening all the time for hundreds of years. It's been going on. What happens when people make those discoveries? They phone the local policeman or bring in the local sheriff or call the local military or air force. And all of a sudden, the black helicopters and the military come in, Delta Force come in, and they lock down the discovery. Everyone is strictly bound by national security protocols, and that's the last we ever hear of it. The same thing with UFOs and alien first contact that's been going on for many years. So the sequestration of technologies happens, and then the police, the military pass them up the ranks, and there is a funnel system that leads those technologies right back to the Sabbatean invisible masters, largely connected to the Freemasonry encampments. And so you see that's what goes on. And then those Masonic lodges auction amongst themselves the technologies. It's a well-kept secret, and they use those technologies and artifacts to conduct their own works. A lot of it is the black arts connected to conducting black magic. Super Hadron Collider in CERN in Switzerland is a classic example of what we're talking about here. So that's just to give you a bit of backstory to Dr. Alex Ling's father, the erstwhile Grand Master of the most powerful lodge in Germany. He discovered that the Freemasons were about to conduct egregious, highly destructive actions, and he stymied what was going on. He withdrew from Masonry. He was, by best accounts, murdered. I might be corrected by Dr. Alex Ling in that. Dr. Alex Ling, by the grace of the living God, is alive and well with his family, and he joins us now from Europe, and I'll be embracing him within a matter of days in the desert in Mexico. Dr. Alex Ling, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me today, and what an incredible panel. Absolutely amazing. I'm blown away. Yes. So yes, thank you for the introduction, and you're completely right. There is so much that people should know about all these ongoings, which is happening for thousands of years. And my kind of mission really was to bring this all to an end by speaking the truth and informing people what is happening. And in my work also, what is very important is that we're moving forward, of course, into a world which is free from these controllers, and because it is time to liberate now. And that's what the Eclipse is all about. So it's about unity, reclaiming our power, our place in the universe, and the connection to this beautiful planet. So there's a lot of things which tie in with the eclipse, and there's a lot of proof which I found in my research going back 14,000 years and more in ancient texts, which have been withheld from us for a very, very long time, which points exactly to that very point in time when the eclipse is going to happen in Mexico. And that's why the point, the place, the zone of silence is so incredibly important. Yes, but I will fill you in a little bit more in a little bit. So, yes, so my mission also is in Glastonbury, where I'm having a place as well as much in Cornwall in the UK. So we are connecting all the networks at the moment, and we have this incredible possibility through a simple sound, and that's also part of my research, which came about when I was researching frequencies and sounds. And again, through my father who had ancient texts, and I was fortunate enough in that way to have found the translations, and so it was all about certain sounds and frequencies which would liberate us as humans, and they're very, very simple sounds. It has to do with the gravitational field in the universe, which is a sound which originates from the very beginning, and that note is, for example, C4, which is been played very often by ancient flutes, very often came from the native Indian tribes who would use these kind of sounds as well. So when we started to use that sound in connection with ancient sites, we actually found that we could communicate with some of the most incredible megalithic sites in Cornwall. And when I say communicating, that means that we have used specific frequencies and have played these frequencies to the stones. And within the stones, there is a record. It's like a supercomputer. And we were able to record certain sounds back, which would lead to a real communication. And that was my latest work. And from there, we developed a sound which we describe as a hum. And that hum is a sound which is similar to the Om, but the hum has it's a primordial sound, and it really resonates with everybody who is using it. It also originates from our mothers when we are, for example, as babies, we are in distress, and then we would have our parents hum to us to kind of ground us. It resonates with our root chakra, for example, and it earths us. It connects us back to the earth. So there's a lot of information which I have researched in that respect. And the eclipse is already being a lot of the ancient texts, 14,000 BC. That's the earliest text I could find, basically pointing out this specific eclipse, which is going to occur in April, which is incredible. So there's a real.
Dr. Alex, let me jump in there just to paraphrase. Some of your audio is a bit difficult, a bit compressed.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were hearing you perfectly, at other times we were not. Let me just try to bring it in. You have been studying this total eclipse coming up on the 8th of April 2024. You have also established that, as we know, that the highest point, in a sense, of that totality of the eclipse is going, or the culmination is going to be when the total eclipse is occurring directly above the navel, the hyperdimensional navel of the Earth, as it relates to this date, which is going to be a place called the Zone of Silence in Mexico, a few hours flight outside of Mexico City. It would help if we had the image. There we go. That's an image of Zona de Silencio, or the Zone of Silence. That's what it looks like from satellite. It looks to me very much like an umbilical, like a navel. It is a couple of thousand feet high, I understand. And this is the epicenter or ground zero of the phenomenon that is taking place on the 8th of April, 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of ancient texts which point out to that, and which go way back to Megiddo and all these kind of areas, Sumerian texts, Babylonian texts. So this specific navel, and you described that quite correctly, is a focus point, is the center, is a portal. And the zone as itself is quite extraordinary from its composition in terms of energies, because there's a huge electromagnetic field around this area. So any compass keeps just spinning. Also, the plants and the animals are quite affected by this. There's a biosphere laboratory in that specific area as well. So where they're studying these kind of unusual plant growths as well. So, but yes, 1,440 meters high, quite a hike. And this specific place has the longest duration of the eclipse shadow, which is 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds. Not a coincidence at all. So there's a lot. Yeah, sorry.
Speak a little bit about this. One of the things I wanted to elaborate on here, and I'd like Chief Phil Lane to hear this as well, specifically, because I think it's very interesting. The fact of the matter is that in 2017, the last time that there was a total eclipse in North America, the trajectory of that total eclipse passed in a particular line over North America, passing through Canada and North America, and it crossed directly over half a dozen towns named Salem. Yeah. The founding fathers, the Masonic elites knew exactly what they were doing when they were predictively programming hundreds of years ago that in 2017, the trajectory of the total eclipse of the sun would pass directly over the 7 towns known as Salem. Yeah. Here we go, 2024, which is the next total eclipse passing over North America. It traverses Canada, North America, and Mexico. And that line crosses at a tangent to the Salem line and crosses over 7 towns known as Nineveh. Nineveh in biblical prophecy is connected to Jonah and the whale, the 3 days in the belly of the whale and being belched out, and then fleeing to Nineveh to beseech the denizens of Nineveh that they had 40 days of atonement and repentance or apocalypse. The 40 days of atonement and repentance is what the Nineveh line represents. Why did the sun pass over 7 towns known as Salem in the last eclipse in 2017? Why now the Nineveh line? Those 2 lines intersect and create the Alpha Omega, the signature of God on the face of North America. North America, again, is the ground zero of the rainbow tribe, of the cauldron of creation in this entire plane of existence. It all comes down to North America, the belly, the rainbow tribe, the crisscross, the Alpha Omega. It's written large. Here you have it.
Yes.
Yeah. This is an extraordinary coming of age. Chief Phil, what are your reflections on that?
Yes, yes. You know, I'm not at all surprised that the primary focus place of this great astronomic event is in Mexico. Mexico has a great, great destiny that's just beginning to be realized. And it was in Mexico, right exactly 52 years, as it is in the Mayan calendar and many of our other calendars, 52 years from the fulfillment of the prophecy of the Condor and Eagle till its fulfillment in uniting all the indigenous people of the Americas across the Condor. Condor, hummingbird, castle, eagle in Palenque. And then the other part that had to happen was a fulfillment of the prophecy of the 8th fire, which William Amanda passed on to me, Eddie Bell Rose, Eddie Benton, they're all gone on the other side camp, which essentially said that we're talking about the 7th fire where we come together. And the 8th fire is when we made a determination together as a human family that we were going to heal, that we were going to create this new global civilization. And that happened in Hidalgo, Mexico, on October 28th and 29th. So Mexico, with 25 million indigenous people, plus most of the population have indigenous roots. Plus, if you think about really the understanding that all of us are indigenous people of Mother Earth, all of us, and especially those in the call here that are really tuning in. So this every time there is a cosmic event like this, it is like a bookmark, or it is a symbolic representation of some things that are going to happen, major changes. So as we come into this time, almost on this part of the hemisphere is the spring, this is going to see another acceleration in the incredible transformation process we're going to witness over these next few years. I mean, there is just no way, shape, or form for what I've been seeing, even at Palenque and the miraculous things that happened there, and all the things I'm seeing. Boy, put your seatbelts on. Put your seatbelts on, and just know how important it is for us to be able to be prepared. And the last thing I want to share here with your brother, Sacha, I think it's very important, and that is we're making a big shift in our indigenous communities. We're realizing the last 500 years were not punishment. We're realizing the last 500 years was preparation, was preparing us for what we have to do at this point in history. And without all the other gifts the human family is contributing, cellular technology, all these things that we're communicating with today. In fact, my clothes. if I was to go strictly on this thing about cultural appropriation, I'd have to get rid of everything. All my clothes, everything would be. My headdress would still be there. All those beads probably now coming from someplace in Eastern Europe. So what I'm saying is that it's time, Mitaki Epi, to truly embrace ourselves as each of us conceived as sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are at the cutting edge of the arrow. Now, that's hard sometimes to accept, but every single person on this call and those who can't be with us today and so many others are at the very heart and point of the sacred arrow of love and transformation and compassion and kindness and respect and justice that is transforming humanity. And we're right there.
Thank
right
you.
Leadership, all of us.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Sacha,
Chief.
may I share something?
Yes, I was just about to bring you in. My psionic intelligence is highly active today, and I know exactly that your hand was in the air. There we go, Huna Flash.
The geometry that we shared with you represents the teardrop of a dragon. Nineveh in the Lemurian language translates to love from the tears of a dragon, oceans of water from the tears of a dragon. Talk about transformation, yes? It's quite a dragon ride that everyone has been on, but certainly this moment that we're coming into with the eclipse. So my translation from the Lemurian language is love, which is va, which is wa. Ni means the tear, a compassionate tear, which is the tear of a dragon. Two knees means many tears. So love from the tears of a dragon. And I just would like to share that for the moment.
Thank you. That's very, very touching. I've just written that down, and that shall be part of my preponderance. Thank you, brother. I absolutely love that. Love from the tears. Love that. And I love what Chief Phil just exhorted, which is that the last 500 years has not been punishment, but preparation and preparedness. I think that's incredibly profound. And to those humans, angelic humans, meek of heart, sufficiently meek of heart, to hear great resounding truths like this should touch you as deeply as it touches me. So the last 500 years were not punishment, not but preparation and preparedness for this great shift of ages, this great coming. There is no victim. There was no victim ever of anything ever. Each one of us steered our souls in these incarnations in a perfectly anointed and perfectly appointed time, so to speak. And that is the greatest wisdom issues from that knowing. Love from the tears of the dragon, which in a sense to me invites us to turn inward and to face that dragon, to face the shade, the shadow, the unresolved, the checkerboard of the kingdom of the devil, which plays out in each of our lives, in the geometry of the atoms and the cells in our bodies, those of us who are ill, sick, with cancers, with metastasizing cells, with diabetes, with endemic migraines, with glaucoma, with asthma, whatever the condition is, it's all systemic and it's all connected again to that. And as each of us do that inner work and turn our focus toward the immanent, we participate in a self-fulfilling prophecy of redemption, absolution, healing. And that's what this great shift of ages, Dr. Ling will continue now at my invitation to explain a little bit more about the hyperdimensional physics of what's taking place on the 8th of April. Let's use that dateline 0 to not, and this is the thing, I speak here to the audience, and it's a very considerable audience. On that day, please, by the grace of the living God, do not make the mistake or the folly of placing your attention outwardly to this eclipse event, this other Babylonian nonsensical party notion that we should all get very excited and or fearful. It is neither a matter for excitement, nor is it a matter for fear. Looking outwardly into the dielectric universe and placing importance and attention on the totems, the symbols, the signs out there is not the highest truth. When we are putting on those glasses and looking up at the corona and having parties and, God forbid, with alcohol and microdosing, whatever we're microdosing, this is not where we ought to be placing attention on this fateful moment. The 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds of the totality of that eclipse where we will be and elsewhere in the Americas, I urge friends, fellows of the human family, use that sacred moment when the sun is cut off, totemistically, hyperdimensionally, and in physicality. It is cutting an umbilical to the outer sun because we are being invited in that sacred moment, that sacrament, which comes once every few thousand years. We're being invited in that sacrament to be able to turn our attention to the inner sun, to the central sun, because the resurrection of the eternal mother, the awakening of Gaia, the divine feminine, however you want to look at this and speak to it, the awakening of the immanent flame, the resurrection of the human angelic template, the coming of the kingdom of heaven on earth, the anchoring of patterns of perfection into this mortal realm. All of that comes into the alchemy of where you and I, at the collective level, place our attention during this holy of holy sacraments. I hope I've expressed the importance of us placing collective ideation, plasma, photonic intelligence into the immanent, the internal flame, and not the Babylonian external one. This is our opportunity to receive the benediction of revelation and to touch with the atom seed in the womb of the eternal mother and thereby invoke and bid her into resurrection, the thing we've all been screaming about for fuck's sake. All of us, millions of us, we want our sovereignty. We want reclamation of our health and our sovereignty and our autonomy and our indigenous rights and our human rights and our natural born rights. This is what it's all about. The call to action is not to lobby the Catholic Church or lobby the corrupt government or lobby UNESCO or the World Trade Organization or any of these other deviant patriarchal edifices of wickedness. The call to action is you and me in a perfect moment and where we place our attention and do the bidding of the Aboriginal peoples, the wisdom keepers, the flame keepers of this world, who have always maintained the atom seed of wisdom, which is dream wisely. This is our moment to dream wisely and to begin to turn the wheel in the other direction. That is the importance of this dateline 0. Dr. Alex, please extrapolate if you wish.
Yes, there are a few aspects about this solar eclipse which are quite important. First of all, it is a new moon as well, and also we are in a solar maximum. So all these kind of elements are coming together. So what will happen in the totality is that the free electrons will space out, and the free electrons are used also by Wi-Fi, GPS, all these kind of artificial matrices which surrounding us. So in that time of totality, this energy field, their energy field, this artificial matrix will almost be reduced to a very, very small minimum, about 10%. Now, within this time, we will have the extraordinary possibility to go through a window by connecting to all of humanity, or we all can connect in this moment and go as a nation, as a humanity, to reconnect with the grid of the earth. And that is what is the extraordinary thing about it. So the earth grid, the energy which surrounds this planet, which is Gaia, which is Mother Earth, that is a field we need to connect to. And in that moment, when the totality is going to occur, 4 minutes 28 seconds, 0.1, this is a window of opportunity to connect to it. And this is when the whole humanity can connect to each other again on this incredible conscious level. So, and that's the difference. These kind of events don't always happen. This is a special event. It doesn't happen very often. The last one was just about 7,000 years ago. The next one was about 14,000 years ago. So incredibly important that everybody takes this quite seriously, because on the opposition, of course, they are very much aware that this is going to happen, and they always have been quite aware of these kind of solar events. So, for example, there's something in place for thousands of years, which is called the substitute king, and I'll just kind of try to appeal to people so that they know what the reality of things is about when it comes to our controllers. So the substitute king is a text which has been written quite a number of years ago, about 800 BC, for example. They're older texts which go back 14,000 years, and it had to do with the kings, the controllers, which would be fearful that on such event of the solar eclipse, we as humans can connect them to Mother Earth and to each other. They were very much aware of this. So they would put a substitute king in place and queen, so basically replacement, and then they would hide, and very often they would hide for 100 days before or after the event, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. And the reason for that is that they were very worried that they would be overruled by the people. So to preserve their lineage, they would go into hiding and then come back when the solar event was over. Also, what is important is that this specific solar eclipse, the electrons, the frequencies, are emanating around the planet for quite some time. So exactly about 40 days. Some say it could be a little bit longer. So this is our opportunity to constantly refresh this kind of energy we have to Mother Earth, and continuously work and manifest where we want to be in the soon future. So let's do this all together, because that's really, really important. This specific window we can use to manifest our positive thoughts and where we want to be in the future. So that's the point of it.
Very good, thank you. So I'd like to just invite some commentary. I'd like to invite Yvonne in just to speak. Ricardo, if you would kindly translate. I would like just to hear from Yvonne what in the traditional Mexican native tradition, what is the importance of a total eclipse of the sun?
¿Cuál es la importancia de un eclipse total para México como tal, las civilizaciones de aquí que representa?
Representa un cambio muy importante.
It's a very, very important change.
Está haciéndonos una señal muy marcada.
It's a signal very well put.
Marca pues lo que ha sido en vidas pasadas para poder nosotros poder estar anclados en un futuro, pero en un futuro muy bueno, muy prometedor, muy alegre, muy distinto a lo que hemos estado viviendo en todo este tiempo.
So for them, for here in Mexico, we saw everything like it's something that it will transform in this occasion, but mostly the eclipse, it's something for renew and change and to absorb all the positive things that we have in this world.
Lo que estaba comentando el doctor Alex es muy importante, es un momento de conexión tanto interna para poder estar conectados con todo lo que viene siendo esta parte del universo.
The thing that Dr. Alex was saying is very important, and Yvonne, it's totally on coincidence with him, because it's something that it's in deep inside us, that the most important thing is that connection that we're going to create between this point to the future.
Have I lost
you? A lo mejor no sé, o sea, o la importancia.
Hola, hola.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Estamos escuchando.
Can you hear us?
Yes, carry on.
Hello,
¿Se
hello.
cortó?
Yeah.
Okay. A lo mejor en México no se le ha dado como que la comunicación o toda la, pues digamos que la publicidad para este momento.
Yvonne, it's worried because in Mexico they are not putting the importance on this event. So in Mexico people are like, that it's nothing happening. It's something like common, but it's not. And she's kind of worried about that we are not like aligned on this amazing situation that we're going to live. So social media is blocking that thing.
Yeah, so Ricardo, that was my next question to Yvonne. When she is consulting the guardians of the inner earth, and when she is consulting the guardians of the sky, and when she's consulting the guardians of the jungle and of the waters of Central America, of Mexico, can she elaborate on why this total eclipse is coming up as being of profound importance? We know already that it's connected to Hopi prophecy, to the 10th prophecy, which is underway right now. We know it's connected to the Eagle and Condor flying together, and the resurrection of the rainbow, coming together, the rainbow tribe, the biblical prophecy of the Salem lines and the Nineveh lines conjuncting. So we know that all ancient prophecies, and as my beloved brother Huna Flash mentioned, there are many, many different prophetic lineages that all speak to this event horizon that is happening this year into next year. What is the feedback that Yvonne is receiving from the elemental world, from the spirit world of the elements?
Yvonne, ¿qué es lo que tú estás recibiendo en este momento de los elementos del agua, de la tierra, de la selva, de Gaia, en relación a todos estos eventos que, ya sabemos que es una profecía, pero tú en lo personal, ¿qué te están diciendo los espíritus?
Lo que ellos están comentando es que es un momento importante para hacer una conexión desde tu corazón, desde ti, o sea, desde tu ser, para poder hacer una conexión a final de cuentas con todo el planeta. Gaia está presente.
So, okay.
No, no está bien.
So she's saying that it's very important to in this. The Spirit says that we need to open our heart through love. That it's the feeling that we need to embrace in this occasion. And Gaia
Está presente.
Gaia is with us in this, with everyone in this right now, and
Y dice que esta es una gran oportunidad
Gaia said that this is a great opportunity
para este cambio que tanto hemos estado esperando, tanto ellos, elementales, todo el planeta, como los seres que lo están integrando, como nosotros los seres humanos.
So, yeah, this is something that Gaia wants us to embrace as a humanity through love, through open our hearts, and the spirits are very aware that this is a very important event that will transform the way that we lived.
Beautiful.
Gaia.
Thank you very much. This is very, very helpful. I just saw that one of our great Native American grandmothers, Ejna Fleury, has joined us in the green room, and I'll bring her in momentarily to say a few words. But Dr. Alex, before I also invite Jane back in and Padma, Khandro, I'd like to ask you, Dr. Alex, just again speak to the zone of silence just outside Mexico City, or a couple of hours flight, extraordinary mountain, which is designated as the point on the surface of the earth, which is going to receive the greatest totality of the eclipse, 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds, meaning to say, those of us who are there atop that mountain, NSA, Vatican, and CIA activities notwithstanding, and I'm not remotely concerned about that. I understand the power and the majesty of the human will and the human heart, and I understand the power, the force that we bring into this ceremony. And no high altitude aurora research programs, aka HARP, no directed energy weapon systems, no weaponizing of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9G bandwidths is going to temper with human actualized Christed plasma. We are the ones who walk through the valley of death. We're the ones who enter the lion's den, as we're doing very much during this event. But speak a little bit more to this. We're in the epicenter, in the eye of the storm. We are essentially placing a hum, the vibratory hum of the living sons and daughters of God, of the Adamite, of the good human, of the meek. We are simply transferring a hum back into that hyperdimensional umbilical vortex during that 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds. Yes?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And the hum, as I explained, is a primordial sound. It comes from the universe. It is within us. It has to do with the connection of water as well. So water, of course, is we are walking water vessels. All this whole year has been about water, structured water, living water, consciousness of water. So, and there's a reason for that, because we are reconnecting with the source, with the cosmic ocean. So it has to do with all of that. And the sound, the hum, is very much the key to that. With that sound, we can reactivate our memory, our DNA, everything to do with the water inside us, with water around us. This is to do with the blueprint of creation. And that's what they try to avoid, is that we have that link, that knowledge, and that kind of access to our abilities to be the humans and the amazing beings we're supposed to be. They have been suffocating us for thousands of years, enslaving us. And this is about liberation. And this is why this is so important. So yes, it's going to be a monumental event.
So, Dr. Ling, I have to ask you this question. I know the answer to it, but I have to ask it to you. Ling is not a name that you would associate with a white skin. Can you just please, if it doesn't offend you, speak a bit about your beloved father, your late father, and if you're okay to expand a little bit on that. You are taking forward arcane mysterium cult understanding and logic and science and craft. You're helping decode things for humanity's emancipation now. But you come from a lineage of high-ranking Freemasonry and the name Ling and your German roots. This is very, very complex and confounding to some. Please speak to it.
Yes, so my father actually, he was German, but his heritage was also Chinese. So that is a bit confusing for most people, but there are links to Chiang Kai-shek, and he was fighting against Mao Zedong. So mostly known for these kind of political activities. But yes, it's a dragon line, deeply, deeply rooted in China, a very powerful family, associated with the Bank of China as well. And so it got basically all, the lineage got kind of weakened when they got into trouble because they were fighting Mao Zedong. So then they had to flee to Hong Kong, and from there they would go to other countries, including America, Germany, and hence the connection to Germany and to my family and to my father. So also my mother, she actually came from Orpha. Now that's a different story altogether. So she has a heritage of the Sumerian people, if you like. So there is deep-rooted bloodlines which go back thousands of years ago. And yes, my father was a Freemason. Not only, he was also the Grand Master of Ordo Templi Orientis, Fraternitas Saturni. So he was very, very active. In the end, I didn't know much about him when I was younger, so it all came out later when I did my own research. But he has done at least the honorable thing and did withheld quite a few of the most important artifacts which shouldn't have been handed over, and he didn't. So due to that, he was very much also in connection with Siemens AG, who is partially responsible for the creation of the Large Hadron Collider. This kind of technology was stolen from ancient texts, very much. Lots of it was found actually in Turkey. It's just, as you already described, it had to do with a whole network which was connected to the Freemasons, who didn't wanted humanity to know what our origin is, what kind of powers we have, our senses we used to use. So it has all to do with this kind of, it all comes back to enslavement and keeping us in the dark, basically. But on the other side, they have used this kind of technology against us, and to create, of course, this enormous and artificial matrix which they have created to keep us in check. And so many people believe that it's for our benefit, and falling into the trap, of course, to be dependent on this kind of technology which we have, and we are to a certain degree. But there are other ways, and we can free ourselves at least from the harmful radiation and frequencies which are really not beneficial to our physical health, and surely not our mental health.
Very good. My sister Jane Evershed here is going to be on an aeroplane during the total eclipse that we're going to be witnessing together on that mountaintop. Please tell me she's going to be okay. You are a physicist.
Do you know, that's something which many people ask me actually, and they said, am I going to be okay traveling because, you know, of the solar activity as well, and it could shut down, you know, some of the GPS systems and stuff. I think mainly we shouldn't fall into the trap and go into doom and gloom, because I do truly believe that we're all going to be safe. I don't think it's going to be a scenario where we are facing monumental floods and earthquakes and all this. At least not to such extent around that date. So yes, the earth will shake up maybe a little bit here and there, but I don't think it's going to be harmful for us. I'm also a big believer in the universe putting us in the right places at the right time.
Indeed. Always. That's exactly correct. So I'm not remotely concerned either. And I also agree with you. I don't believe that we're going to see cataclysms erupting, but I do think, no, I can go so far as to say I absolutely know with entire certainty that on that day we are going to be actively involved in the most important kind of ceremony. And I'm not a man given to ceremony or ritualism in any way, shape, or form. But this kind of action to me is not ritualistic or ceremonial, but it is duty of care. I see it as duty of care to be fully mindful, fully present at moments like this, and make great use of the benediction that is offered to us in moments like this, to be able to be the architects of the reset ourselves, so that we are not the victims of an orchestrated reset by invisible masters, aka Klaus Schwab and the other deviant black magicians and black hats and pointy-hatted wizards that have pretty much taken dominion over humanity for the last few thousand years. Certainly today we're seeing the full revelation and the disclosure, the exposure of these deviants, the fall of the patriarch, the gibbering sock puppet commander-in-chief. Biden is a classic example. The gibbering Nazi Schwab is a classic example. The doddery old, highly questionable Jesuit Pope in Rome. All of these are classic archetypes of the failing and the falling and the collapse of the old patrimonial paradigm, the patriarchy. We're now going to see a resurrection of the eternal mother. We will see a return of the feather, the stick, the power rod to the grandmothers. And I'm going to bring on grandmother Ejna Fleury in a moment, but I first want to get Grandma Jane's summary reflections on the conversation today.
Well, I noticed that we haven't put the eclipse within the last few phases, incredible astronomical things that have been going on lately since last November of 23. Remember, we emerged, we started our ascension out of the Kali Yuga, and that was huge. And then not even 6 weeks later, we moved out of the false light Fibonacci spiral of false creation into the crystal spiral creation with the 12 instead of the 10. And so this, to me, this eclipse is our little cherry. It's our little cherry on the top. And we have to remember that us as the angelic humans are absolutely connected to the stars. We haven't gone through thousands and thousands of lifetimes for nothing. This is it. And our so-called adversaries or teachers or whoever you might want to call them, however horrid they are, have brought us to this point, but they are not divinely connected to the wisdom of the cosmos as we are by divine right and by our angelic ancestry. So it's all lined up, and it does, as everyone, any person on here that ever mentioned the mother and our masculine, feminine divinity coming together as part of unity consciousness is right on, and that mother nurturing energy is coming in to replace destruction with creation. That's the biggest thing it's going to give us, I feel.
Absolutely beautiful, beautifully stated, and thank you for that. Michael, I'm going to pass on to Huna Flash, and then I'm going on to Eduardo who I see has entered the green room, our wonderful mystic and shaman friend in Mexico. But Michael, I'd like your summary reflections on today's conversation.
It was Ejna Fleury who actually pointed me into that direction of seeing our process right now as a birthing process, the end of the laboring process. And so as we go, and I'm not a woman, I can't really speak for it, but I'm going to try and do to the best of my ability. As we're coming to the end of the laboring process, and within the laboring process is a lot of love. There's a lot of love for the newborn. Within that process is going to be immense pain. Once the laboring process is over and finished and the new is born, the pain is gone and all remains love. Now, if I look at it from a divine masculine point of view, all I can do is support the divine feminine in that transition, in that birthing process, with all the love and the light that I hold within myself. There is, and like you said, there is nothing that I need to look up to. It is about going inwards. It is about connecting. It is about recognizing the importance of that moment, of those 4 minutes and 28 seconds or 28.1 seconds, and being really, really, really conscious around that, and not focusing our energy into it, but giving it our energy. And I believe that there is a difference whether we operate from our mind or whether we operate from our heart. So also curious to learn more about what the specific frequency is. And when I look at 4 minutes 28.1 seconds, I can't overlook the 528 hertz frequency, the frequency of love within that. If I take the one from the end and put it to the front, and can you speak a little bit more about what that specific frequency might be?
Dr. Alex.
Yes, so 528 is also part of this frequency for sure. So the 256 frequency has also something to do with that. So that's, if you wanted to measure it in frequency, is a number which comes up. But when we looked into the frequency and the sound, especially, and I think this is much more about the sound in a way, the note, which is C4. And that specific sound is a primordial sound. And so when we had this, I have to go into that very shortly to explain that. We had two different experiments, if you want to call it like that. So where we had a number of people, 100 people who have given a specific sound and frequency guidance, and the other ones didn't have any kind of guidance at all. So the extraordinary thing was, when we asked both sides to hum, to come together in that specific sound, something quite extraordinary happened, because the group which had guidance and the unguided group did exactly the same. So the sounds were identical. So the harmonics are quite they're so what's the word, spread all over the place, so that it's not very you can't really specifically say what kind of frequency or it is in the end. So it's like the C4 note on the lower end, and then the harmonics go way up and way down. So, but in the end, it comes back to one center sound, and that was the incredible thing. So it is around 256, but it goes up to 528. So somewhere in between that spectrum. So that was the findings we had just from the scientific side. But on the human level and from the emotional level, what we found is that the more it resonated and the longer people would hum together, it was bringing them into some form of a state of theta wave activity, where they would experience an extraordinary almost like an out-of-body experience, if you like. So they were in a completely, just like a trance state. And they all afterwards felt this enormous feeling of love for each other. And that was something which was in all cases, whenever we had the hum and we did it with like 50 people, 100 people, that was the outcome. It shifted the energy immediately out into some incredible state within the whole room. The whole space changed. We have done experiments with water, where the water was resonating in a completely different way. It was throwing all sorts of beautiful patterns from the somatic kind of point of view. It's just extraordinary. I think this is a tool which is so simple because everybody can do this. Nobody needs to really have some teaching about it. Everybody can hum. And that's why it resonates with so many people who are saying, that's it, that is so simple. And it really connects us on this really deep emotional level. So yes, 5 to 8 has definitely to do with it.
Alex, thank you. Sacha's coming right back in. He had a failure, but he wanted Huna to give some of his final words. Let me bring Huna in. Huna, do you want to go ahead and give?
I'll do the best I can.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Where are we?
Go ahead, Huna.
Oh, if I can, just in point form, if that's okay. 1986, I was initiated to Tohunga at the mystery school of the special bird, Manuariki. My Huna was the great Maori prophet, Arakahana Piripiti Paniariki or Manuariki. That was his title. During that year of 1986, August 14th, I was so fortunate to also be included in the table at that event was the table of the 13. 13 tribes were represented there at a table, including the Hopi elders, the Lama, the Dalai Lama and his people, and the Hebrew, the Arabic, and many made up the table of the 13. That same weekend was also the most special understanding, the most special celebration was known as the raising or the, let me say, Tingiro o Te Ao. This event was known as Tingiro o Te Ao, which means the raising of the needle. This meant that it was a recognition that the mother, once spoken of as the missing link, was to be reintroduced back into society in the modern time. 1986, that we had the raising of the mother, a 22-foot statue made from incredible indigenous wood that was raised at this gathering. Tingiro o Te Ao, which means the needle that threads the many colors. Excuse me, that threads the many colors. Tingiro o Te Ao, the needle referred to as the mother. 1986, August 14th weekend, this took place. This was the beginning of the harmonic convergence. This was the ramping up to include and return the missing link. 1987, August 17th weekend was the harmonic convergence. Well, I feel that you all know this moment, yeah? That at that moment, for the harmonic convergence to arrive, the mother was reintroduced and recognized by the table of the 13, and instructions were given at that table to send back to the tribes, to the many, and to the Hopi, and to all many. So that's one point that took place in my lifetime. The next major point I wanted to share is the repopulation program. That's right. Repopulation is a program we've been working with. The repopulation, and this is the answer to the depopulation program running. And they know that there's a repopulation program. Those who are in the depopulation program know that there is a repopulation program. And to share a little bit more about this, and the Stargate work that I do is connected to the new birthing system. And the grid for that new birthing system in Lemurian language is called the Motu grid. This is the work that the House of Huna have been doing for the number of years. We have activated 23 Stargates aligned to the Lemurian frequency for the birthing system on the Motu grid. Motu means island, and Motu replaces the sound of zodiac. It replaces the Gregorian draconian system through the Motus. My birth sign for February is the hummingbird. This is the Lemurian birth sign. My birth sign is the hummingbird, spoken of as Tirani Motu, which means the tiny voice from heaven, in which it speaks that Aquarius has been returned to the throat chakra of the hummingbird. So understand, when we speak about it, we come from the place when Lemuria 4 fell. When Lemuria 4 fell, they created the Gulf of Mexico. This was our final war from Lemuria 4 that created the Yucatan Peninsula. At that time and at that moment, and I was there, as a Kumara, the Kumara stated, we will return Lemuria 5, the age of Lemuria 5, when Planet 5 is being recognized. And Planet 5 is now recognized since March 2021, March 8th, 2021, at the Stargate in Lake Titicaca, recognized as Planet Matea, which means the planet of new light. Gaia ascended light speaks to a sound is Matea. I'll make that point. There's more on this, but I just a couple more points, if I may, Sacha. The 22 billion souls are on the repopulation program. The Hunas just completed major Stargate ceremonies in Gobi Desert in Mongolia. We just returned from there, including Japan and Mount Fuji. These two powerful Stargates are aligned to Shambhala. And in that ceremony, of course, you have all the information history of Shambhala and all the knowledge you have, was the asking for the recognition and the support to guarantee. And these works at Stargates are supporting programming and coding to guarantee the repopulation program and all of what it takes, with all of the support from everybody, including the dragons, especially the dragons. And so I want to just share one more thing with you. What I'm giving you is a breakdown list of only a few things we have done. Our actions, these are the actions our team does traveling around the world, and we pay out of our own pocket to do all of this work. Okay, so this one that we have coming up, and I would like to speak to Dr. Ling with this. Don't mind, Sacha. In the middle of, at the end of April, May 1st, we have a mission coming up, which is called the Two-Headed Snake Dark Tunnel Mission. This is concerning the 1,000 Points of Light in Amsterdam and the Mason Society. I have a team in Amsterdam of Hunas, trained Dragon Master Hunas. They will be doing programming at the Dark Tunnel in Amsterdam. I am taking another team to Azores. In Azores, another team of Dragon Masters will be implementing from the other end of the tunnel. Okay, so this is happening simultaneously. I have two teams. So the team in Azores will be working to clear the energies from the underworld pyramids. It's totally about the underworld pyramids and the connection to the Freemason societies through the second dimension tunnels. We refer to the dark tunnels as the second dimension. Now, there is one other piece that's going to take place just before that, and I'll finish on this. The first part that I have to do, and myself and also another Huna Kahasai, we have to go to France, to Saint Nazaire. In Saint Nazaire is Stargate number 7. And this will get a kick out of. Stargate number 7 is halfway between, directly on the line between Azores and Amsterdam. That same line Stargate number 7 reaches down into that tunnel. We'll be dropping the snake medicine that I was gifted on the Cozumel, the goddess island. I was gifted at the pyramid, the snake medicine from Ishel, from the goddess Ishtar, Ishel, one and the same. Now, to finish off with, the France, we input the medicine there, or the programming. Think of it as programming, because it is. This is Lemurian technology, okay? And it takes some practice. So we go in there, and it's to support and the clearing from the Mason Society, certainly what your father went through, what you go through, what everybody has been going through. So these are actions that are taking place, what has taken place, a whole lot more things to share that have not been known. But I'm very happy to reveal these actions that have taken place. Thank you. I apologize for taking
Thank you very much indeed, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate all of those words. Dr. Alex, stand by. I want to bring on Eduardo, my beloved friend, Eduardo Oregon, who is a highly recognized shaman in Central America, in Mexico. I think you may have a bit of background noise there, but Eduardo, very happy to see that you could join us, even for a few minutes. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's only nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here with you, to hear what you said. And we're waiting for that day because Gaia says that we're going to improve our power. Then, in order to continue with this project, to create the new communities and work with the humanity to change the administration, the way that the humanity customize for their own administration. We have to move that. We're going to get the strength. We're going to have all the help, and all tribes are going to join to do this main great project.
Thank you, brother. Well, you know, I have a photograph here that I took of you when you were performing the ceremonies on our land here in Bacala, and when Yvonne was consulting with the guardians of the jungle and the soil and the water and the skies. And this is the photograph I took. Perhaps I shouldn't have taken this, but I keep it anyway as a memory of that beautiful day and the extraordinary ceremony that you brought here to really combine all of the elements into the living flame. And very honored that you're going to be joining us, hopefully at the Zone of Silence. I know you're going to be trying to get there as well.
Yes.
Just outside Durango. Dr. Ling, if this remarkable man and his remarkable partner, Yvonne, are able to accompany us there, they will be in direct communication with all of the elemental intelligences and helping to create the point of equilibrium there at that subtle level. You're a scientist, Dr. Ling. Does this language sound like gobbledygook to you?
No, not at all. I totally get where you're from, and I'm very, very excited about it. I think this is all about the energies which we have to combine. In the end, it doesn't matter what kind of background we're coming from. We just have to join forces, and we just have to reconnect with each other. So yes, I'm very much excited to meet Eduardo and Yvonne. So that would be an absolute honor. Thank you so much.
Well, let me bring on, we're just 5 minutes over our broadcast time, but I want to bring on a grandmother, Ejna Fleury, who I had the great privilege and honor of embracing and speaking with at length at the Palenque Eagle and Condor Congress. And this beloved woman did magic, which we witnessed over the course of those few days. She doesn't speak a great deal. And she's far too humble to be thrown into the public spotlight. But when she does what she does, it has an extraordinary, palpable effect. She is a classic archetypal representative of the eternal mother and the spirit of the grandmother. Grandmother Ejna, very, very happy that you could join us today for a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sacha, for doing this broadcast and for even going over time. And didn't know I was going to speak today, but it's very clear right now we need to focus back to our hearts, because we are creations of great beauty, human beings. And even though we've had this incredible time, not just 500 years, but many thousands of years of struggle and pain, that the greatness of our being, because we are actually being blossomed and crafted into being star makers ourselves. So how can we do that if we have not come through everything that we have? But to focus back on the heart itself, the heart of love, because our heart has 4 chambers, and the first chamber, the first 2 chambers, what does the blood do? The waters do. All of the elements in our bodies being fed, it goes out and it brings the magic of the spark of life. And then it comes over the heart, brings that back over, and it brings that spark of life into the other side of the heart and those 4 chambers. And that goes out to our magnificent, beautiful body. So we're having the marriage in the heart of the cosmos and the earth energies. And as we focus on love, however large or small we think we're feeling love, it's mostly that we don't think, that we just feel, even if it's in humility or in questioning or whatever level we experience love, we're going to be healing one another, and we're going to be in resonance with that wonderful, wonderful alignment from the center of our galaxy, through our sun, through the earth, through the moon, and into our hearts, right to the center of the earth, in this great resonance of love. And love creates the whole cosmos. The whole cosmos is blossoming with love. So we are going to be in resonance with the forces of creation itself. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Well, bravo to that. You could not have said it more perfectly, you beloved woman. I wish I could dive through that screen and give you a kiss. Look,
likewise.
Friends, this has been a very beautiful day and a very beautiful conversation. And I want to introduce 2 of my most beloved friends in this world who are with me at the moment, and that is the Sky and Anahita. And I was blessed to accompany them to the Palenque Congress with the Chief Phil Lane. And of course, that was where I met with Grandmother Ejna and with Brother Hector, who was on the show earlier today. I want to thank all of my guests here. Huna Flash, can't wait to spend more time with you, brother. I'm very, very honored to have met you today. And I look forward to being on your show this weekend, I believe it is. And Grandmother Jane, you are now going to be known as Grandmother Jane, my dear, whether you like it or not. Thank you for coming on. Grandma Ejna Fleury, thank you so very much for closing this beautiful session today with such beautiful words. Dr. Alex Ling, greatly, greatly looking forward to being with you in just over 10 days or something like that. I'm greatly looking forward to embracing you and learning more from you and about you. And Yvonne and Eduardo, thank you so very much for joining us today and bringing your beautiful spirit magic into the proceedings. And I think, friends, that's about it. The other guests, Michael is still there. I'll say thank you very much to Michael, beloved brother. Thank you for joining us as well. And that's it, friends. We're going to sign off at that. I can tell you that we're going to be in the zone of silence on that hill Daniel in the Lion's Den on the day with Dr. Alex Ling, hopefully Eduardo and Yvonne, Brother Hector, and others will be joining us. And I very much doubt we're going to be doing any broadcasting on that day, because we're going to be placing our attention into the womb of the Eternal Mother in that holy date line. The sacrament there does not require or need noisy influences like me broadcasting. So we're going to be there holding the space, and we'll do some filming where it makes sense and let you know what we experience. I do suspect we're going to see some extraordinary stuff, and we'll be sure to round in after Dateline 0 a day or two later and let you know what occurred. Please do recall the 40 days of atonement and repentance, a word that I do not like. I don't even like to use the word repent. I'm not a very repentant guy, but I think I've sat with it in the last few weeks sufficiently to understand the nature of atonement and repentance, and how once we are graced with that benediction of Gaia, of the mother, of the resurrection of the angelic template, whatever is going to be revealing itself at the subtle level on that extraordinary day, whatever we take away with us, let that be the start of the opening of the lotus. But do remember that the 40 days of atonement, 18th of May, is likely to be very much codified into the Babylonian high Wicca witchcraft book. It is likely to be something which will be the utility of the devil to some extent, because these dates, these eclipses, these events are invariably used as sacrificial points. So whilst we are placing our attention toward the benediction of the resurrection of the immanent template and not going into a Babylonian fiestas, whilst we're doing that, please hold in that heart, please hold your still point to alleviate the sufferance of a great many souls in the world who will be subjected to those rituals. That happens all the time in our world and has done for millennia, but it is likely to be happening in quite an augmented way on that dateline. So please, let's carry some of that energetic burden. I hope I haven't been too enigmatic in that appeal. Friends, it is now 15:13 past the hour, he said, never looking at clocks. Thank you for joining us. We've had a very significant audience. I'm very honored to have been in the company of such august and esteemed wisdom keepers and thought leaders. This ends the broadcast today.
Bye-bye.